We are back and on the radio in DC on 105.5 FM, AM 1390. Joining us now, a great friend of the show, the journalist Sonja van den Ende, coming at us from Moscow, Russia. Hey, Sonja, how you doing?
Hi, Lee. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. Happy New Year, by the way.
You too.
Let me say, you were the first female guest on the show this year.
Oh,
do you mind if I call you a female, or does that offend you?
No, not at all. I am. So thanks. No, great.
That's right. Now, I'm trying to understand Russia, so I may not have this right. But as I understand it, January 4th is like a second sort of celebration of New Year's is in Russia. Do you know what I'm talking about at all?
Yeah, it's actually January the 1st, but also January the 2nd. They actually have celebrations for 2 days. So yeah, it's a big, huge celebration, the New Year. Of course, this year it's a bit different, but they're always 2 days, like sort of Christmas, you know, because this is the most important festival, actually, the New Year, not Christmas. It's also important, of course, but yeah, this is really, you know, it's important.
And of course, because of the Orthodox keeping the old calendar, Christmas hasn't happened yet, right? Christmas is coming up in a couple of weeks, right?
No. Coming weekend, 7th of January, 6th in the evening, I think, but the 7th of January. So coming weekend, it will be the Orthodox Christmas.
But as you point out, New Year's really the big holiday there. And Vladimir Putin did something kind of unusual. He gave a New Year's address, and it was a long speech, right?
Yeah.
So in about 90 minutes. So let's play.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So let's play a clip from that speech because I want people to hear. I think the Western media gets Putin so wrong. You know this. They lie about him constantly and what he says. And I think Vladimir Putin is actually, I think, among world leaders, he lays out what he thinks. And so I think people should hear that for themselves. So let's listen to a little bit of that speech from Vladimir Putin. Hit it.
My fellow Russians and dear friends, 2022 is drawing to a close. It was a year of tough but necessary decisions, critical steps towards achieving Russia's full sovereignty and a vital consolidation of our society. This year has revealed the true nature of many things. It has shown the difference between courage and bravery on one hand and treachery and cowardice on the other, which shows that there's nothing greater than love for our families and relatives, loyalty to our friends and brothers in arms, and devotion to our homeland. This was a year of pivotal and fateful events that set the foundation of our common future and our true independence. This is what we are fighting for today. We are protecting our people in our historic lands, new constituent territories of the Russian Federation. We are building and creating together. The fate of Russia is above all. Our sacred duty to our ancestors and generations to come is to protect our homeland. We are right, morally and historically. The outgoing year has brought significant change to Russia and the whole world. Even though it was full of worries and anxiety, our multi-ethnic country has demonstrated its courage and dignity, as it always has during times of trouble for Russia. They have supported in word and deed the defenders of our homeland, our soldiers, officers, and all others engaged in the special military operation. We have always known, and it's confirmed today, that a sovereign, independent, and safe future for Russia depends on us and no one else, on our strength and our will. For years, the Western elites hypocritically assured us all that their intentions were peaceful, including attempts to address an incredibly complicated crisis in the Donbass. In reality, however, they promoted neo-Nazis who continued to wage war and carry out terrorist attacks against civilians in the People's Republic of the Donbass. The West lied about peace while preparing for aggression. Today, it acknowledges this openly and is not ashamed of it. They cynically exploit Ukraine and its people to divide and weaken Russia. We will not allow this to happen. We never did, and we never will. Russian soldiers, militia, and volunteers are fighting for our homeland, for truth and justice, to ensure peace and security for Russia. All of them are heroes to us. Their burden is the heaviest today. With all of my heart, I wish a happy new year to all participants of the special military operation. To everybody, those who are here with me, those on the front lines and adjacent territories, those in the training centers getting ready to join the fight, those in hospitals, those who are home after a tour of duty, those on combat duty in strategic units, and all the personnel of the Russian armed forces. Comrades, thank you for your service. Our entire great nation is proud of your will, resilience, and courage. The hearts and minds of millions are with you. Tonight, people will be raising their glasses to you. I extend my gratitude to all those who provide combat support, drivers and railway workers, doctors, paramedics and nurses fighting for the lives of our soldiers and treating wounded civilians. Engineers of our military and civilian factories who are working very hard, constructors erecting civil structures and fortifications, helping to rebuild the ravaged cities and villages of the Donbass and Novorossiya. Dear friends, Russia has been living under sanctions since the events in Crimea in 2014. Yet this year, an all-out sanction war has been declared against us. The masterminds behind it expected our industrial, financial, and transportation sectors to collapse. This didn't happen. Together, we have built an adequate backup. Everything we have done and continue to do is aimed at achieving sovereignty in the critical area, our economy. Our struggle for ourselves, for our interests and future, is inspiring for other nations as they aspire to forge an equitable and multipolar world. It is of great importance that in the outgoing year our nation especially valued mercy, solidarity, and its readiness to help. Increasingly more people feel they need to assist each other. They join their efforts on their own initiative, without any instructions. Thank you for your tenderness, responsibility, and kindness, for joining the common cause despite differences in age and prosperity, for organizing warehouses and transportation of supplies to our soldiers in the war zone and residents of war-torn towns and villages, for sending children from our new regions on holidays. You have also provided great support to the families of our fallen soldiers. They sacrifice their lives to protect others. I understand how hard it is on New Year's Eve for their wives, sons, daughters, and parents who brought up true heroes. We are going to do everything in our power to help the families of those killed in action, to raise their children, educate them, and offer professional training. I can feel your pain. Please accept my words of sincere support. Friends, even in the darkest times, Russia has always celebrated the New Year. It has always been our favorite holiday, bringing out the best in people and amplifying the importance of traditional family values, energy, generosity, and mutual trust. On New Year's Eve, everybody wants to make their loved ones happy, to share kindness and emotional warmth with them, to give them what they dream of, to see delight in their children's eyes and feel the gratitude from parents for our attention. Our seniors know how to treasure these moments of happiness. Dear friends, it's time to leave our grudges and disagreements behind, to share our true feelings with our loved ones, to tell them how much we love them, how important it is to look after one another, always and any time. Let our kind words and noble feelings instill emotional strength and confidence that together we can overcome any hurdles and preserve the greatness and independence of our nation, that we will never turn back and will always prevail for the benefit of our families and Russia, for the future of our one and only beloved homeland. Happy New Year, friends. Happy 2023.
So, Sonja, there's a little bit of Putin's speech. What jumped out at you when you heard that portion of the speech?
Well, it's very...
Anything you noticed?
I think it's the first speech ever he gave. I mean, I watched them in the previous years, but yeah, this is the first speech that's really impressive. What can I say? It's a very honest speech towards the Russian people. It's really, I think, a speech acknowledging that it's a special military operation, but you know, it's everything at stake for Russia now. Russia must be preserved, and really honesty towards his people, something you don't find in Western leaders when they held their speech with Christmas or New Year. It's the same, you know, the same thing, a Happy New Year and blah, blah, blah. But this is really an honest speech. This is what strikes me. And this is why I feel that, I mean, the Russian president is really outstanding. This is what I think, compared to Western leaders. This is, you don't find honesty anymore. And this is, it's really something, I think.
And I was struck by when people think Vladimir Putin and speech, they do not think love based on what the West feeds them. But he talked a lot about love, a lot. And
he's really. I think he was really emotional. Yeah, he was really emotional. You could see that. I mean, that's why I say it's very honest, very emotional, and he feels for his people. This is, you can see it, you feel it, you could hear it in his talking, and this is not just words. It's really love for his country, his people, and what he said, very emotional. It's great.
And it came at a time when there was a big Ukrainian attack with 6 HIMARS missiles on Donetsk and killed about 100 Russian soldiers. And that is one of the biggest, casualty counts that Ukraine has gotten on a single attack in this conflict. And everything he's saying is especially emotional, given the loss of 100 Russian soldiers. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Although the attack at Makeevka came afterwards, And a general or a spokesman of the Russian Ministry of Defense said today it's confirmed at least 89 soldiers were killed, and there were 6 HIMARS and 2 were intercepted. But at the same time, we don't hear in Western media, of course, there was an attack from the Russian side on Druzhkovska, a railway station also in Donetsk Republic, and they took out 4 HIMARS, some cars, and 200 Ukrainian soldiers and their mercenaries were killed. And also very important city, Kramatorsk, there was a unit of foreign legions, so you know, the mercenaries from the west, and they took out 130 mercenaries. So, but actually this was all in, actually what they said 1 minute after New Year. So this is of course very terrible. The people listened to his speech and then something like that happened. And okay, they acknowledged that it had to do with their cell phones. You know, they were, of course, people were trying to call their beloved ones at home in Russia. And the enemy, the Ukrainians, they could trace all these cell phones. They could trace the location where they were situated. So this is, of course, may never happen again. But this is war, you know, this is what happens in war. One side gets hit, another side gets hit. And unfortunately, this is war. And I think coming year we will see more of this. We all hope that it will not happen, of course. But, you know, I experienced war myself in Syria, and I know these things happen. And that's, of course, really, really bad. Every human life, it's too many, you know.
And how do you think his speech was received by the people of Russia? Do you get any sense of that?
Yeah, I think they now, you know, there's always a group who maybe thought, okay, it's far away, it's somehow in Donetsk Republic, okay, it's not my business, I'm going to work here or do whatever I, you know, must do. But after the speech, and of course this terrible event, it also has to do with it. And people now realizing, because I was watching, a lot of soldiers came from Samara city here in Russia, and they, there were remembrance there and burying the soldiers, the people. And now they really know that it is, there's no way back. There's, you know, this is, they are now in war, what we can say, with the West actually. And there's no turning back on this, and the West will not turn back on this, because, you know, they have tried and tried and tried in Russia for many years to get peace with the West, or at least to talk some sense in them, and it never happened. So I think more and more Russians are realizing now that they have to fight for their fatherland, or motherland as they call it. So it's I think the speech really got in the minds of the people now.
And Putin mentioned earlier in his speech treachery and cowardice. And I think treachery, I'm not sure what he was referring to, but I believe it applies to France and Germany, because we've now had people from both those countries, Angela Merkel and from France, I forget.
Hollande.
The leader, right? That's thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Hollande, yes, and they've admitted that they were never negotiating the Minsk Accords in good faith. That's treachery.
Yes,
now, go ahead, Sonja.
It's, you know, I know for many years already that politicians in the West are not honest. They always, because I was in politics myself, I was not maybe as high as, you know, but I was in local politics in a province in the Netherlands. And even there already, there were treacherous. There was never honest. It was always political games. And this is also higher politics in Western society. I was, many times I was at the parliament listening there and had to come there. And it's always games. It's not about ruling the countries anymore. No, it's inside already a game to, you know, get the other one kicked out or something like that. So, and Russia was for them the enemy already for years. And some of them are so crazy. I know that from the Dutch side, that they, you cannot believe it. I mean, maybe they never ever went to Russia, or they don't know Russia, they don't know the people, but they hate Russia. For what? You know, because there was a Soviet Union. Now it's a long time ago, and Russia is not Soviet Union anymore. It's not communism anymore. So it's and I expected from Merkel. I expected it from Merkel because during the COVID, she already. I was living in Germany that time. She already was. You know, you could see she was lying about lockdowns and all these things, like the other ones. And of course, they didn't want peace with Russia. And what they said, they want to militarize Ukraine. So now we have war. And of course, it's really bad. But I don't expect anything from Western leaders, nothing anymore. Actually, I didn't already since many years, since I went to Syria, I saw Lebanon and so on. So that's was the end for me.
Now, yesterday we had an amazing show. My friend Andrei Telzenko called in. He's a former Ukrainian ambassador, and he's a Ukrainian, and he is forced to flee Ukraine. He's now living in Europe because he was put on the kill list. He's a former ambassador, and he's a loyal Ukrainian. And do you feel badly for the people of Ukraine who are caught in the middle and being used by the West? There's no doubt that the people of Ukraine are being used.
Of course, I feel very bad. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead. I was just asking whether the people of Russia hate the people of Ukraine or feel badly for them, because I get no sense of hate. And even on Andrei's part, he does not hate Russia. He thinks Ukraine needs to deal with its neighbors. What do you think, Sonja?
Yeah, I think the Russian and the Ukrainians don't hate each other. They are like a brother people to each other, because during the Soviet Union, you know, and they're all, a lot of them speak Russian, same language, but the Ukrainian language, I think, similar to Russian language. But they don't hate each other, not at all. It's they are victim of the West, because, you know, the West tried to divide them, and this is what the West is always doing in every country I saw, like Syria or Iraq, Afghanistan. They take some groups, maybe two groups, and they put them against each other. And this is what they do. So they start murdering each other, and this is what they try to do. They do it in Ukraine, and this is now they try to involve Russia as well, that Russia is bad, you know, and this is the proxy wars. But I think a lot of people now start to realize, and I hope, hopefully in the West as well, that the US is the leadership and is a very bad leadership, very terrible, criminal, because they use people, they use them, they don't care about people, they see them maybe as sort of cattle, I don't know. That they put them against each other to murder each other. It's very bad, and it's but the Russian and the Ukrainians, for sure, I'm sure they don't hate each other, because many Russian have also Ukrainian relatives or the other way around. So no, they don't hate each other.
So and Putin made the point about sovereignty. He said Russia's building a sovereignty in the economy, and do you see that happening in Moscow where you are? That the economy, how's the economy doing from what you see?
Well, what I see, of course, I'm a limited person, but what I can see, I do my shopping here. I see that a lot of people working. I see shops working. Everything works fine. As when I came here in March, it's still going on. A lot of brands, like Coca-Cola, for instance. I just had a look at it this afternoon when I was doing my shopping. They are gone. The Western brands are gone, but okay, we can live with it, I think, here, and a lot of people can live with it. It maybe in the beginning they thought, oh, you know, I drink this for many years and now it's gone, but okay, it's like that. And I think Russia can now produce, or it's slowly but surely they will produce all their own brands, and the supermarkets are still full, so there's no shortage at all. So it's okay.
And so by the way, here's a hint for Russia. Take a bunch of sugar and pour it in a glass of water. And that's essentially Coke. It's sugar water. So you can make that at home. There's a sugar industry in Russia, right, Sonja?
Yeah,
They
so
have sugar, right?
Yeah, so you can make any. I mean, I never drank Coca-Cola or because I don't like it, but you can make it. Everybody can make it. I think it's easy when you you have sugar water. What you said.
It's not health food.
No.
I'll put it like that. And
No.
And the West thought they were going to destroy Russia's economy. I still hear them talk about that, and the sanctions work, but the sanctions seem to have backfired. And I'm sure, Russia's not crying about no McDonald's or no Coca-Cola. They're not threatening to revolt and overthrow Putin for that, for a lack of a Big Mac.
No.
So, yeah. Now, Sonja, I know it's late there, so we'll let you go. But great appearance, as always. Thanks for being with us, Sonja van den Ende.